Yo, what's up, all you burner stoners and potheads? This is Weeman 420 with the Weeman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
I'm doing great.
I love it. Hey, all you vipers out there in the world, hopefully you're smoking some big fat doinks while you're listening to the show. Mrs. Weedman and I are about to get normal with some lake effects grown by our friend Midwest Turps. Thank you, Midwest Turps. I'm holding the bag up in the air for everyone to see. This lake effect we've smoked on the show a long time ago, and I opened up the bag to go roll a joint. Oh my God. I smelled it to you. You were upstairs getting dinner ready, and it was like, woo. So lake effect grown by Midwest Turps. This is a cross between I don't even know. Cross with the Third Coast Panama Chunk and Amnesia Sour Diesel. It's a phenomenal strain grown by Midwest Turps. We've had it on the show before, and it tests around 25%. And the primary terpenes include tryptoline, limonene, A-pinene, B-myrcene, B-pinene, and ocimene. This is a sativa-leaning strain. So that's all the information I have about that.
Tryptoline?
Tryptoline. Yeah, it's one of the good uppity terpenes, kind of uplifting terpene. It's really nice.
Oh, pine, cypress, fir.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of like A-pinene too. And this is all uplifting, all great for your daytime smoke if you like. It's all the information I have on that though. Sorry, I did some research on to see if there was any ailments it works with and stuff like that. No, hopefully I can find some more for it. So I apologize about that. But we had a great weekend. You want to know why? We had a Midwest Turps came by.
We did.
And we recorded with him. It was a lot of fun. I'd like to thank him and T for coming by and hanging out and throwing us a bunch of weed and sharing some stories. And but before we get started, let's talk about 8decades.com. 8decades.com, Mrs. Weedman's baby for all your cannabis needs and for all your accessories. Check out 8decades.com. With orders over $100, get you free shipping. Make sure you get yourself a smoke set, some clothing, grinder, steamroller, jars. You need it, we got it. So, and
if I can interject, so you understand maybe if you haven't gone and looked at the 8 Decades brand, if you go to our website, 8decades, spelled out, 8decades.com, and read the About Us, you'll understand that the brand is really a continuation of what we're doing here on the show. Our agenda is to be informative, to educate, to share research that people may not have time to look up otherwise, and ideally to stomp the stigma and free the plant. And so we expanded from the podcast into a product line because we wanted to continue that agenda. So our products are really, it's 8 decades of cannabis prohibition. So our brand is built off of the idea that we don't want there to be a 9th decade of prohibition. Hopefully this goes federally legal. And with that in thought, and as stigmas start to die down, people should be putting their cannabis out. It's legal. If you're in a state where cannabis is legal, don't stash it. Put it out. Have it on your table.
Yeah,
and so we wanted to create products and tools for flower users and for cannabis users that they can have out. And then really effectively you are starting a conversation because someone picks up the jar, someone looks at your rolling tray, and you start the conversation about cannabis. It's your home. Why not? Talk about things that you're passionate about.
Yep.
And if you're not passionate about it, it just looks nice. And then we've got hemp clothing because we wanted to bring light to hemp textiles. The fact that we don't have U.S. industrial hemp textiles, we have to import from overseas, which means it's now going to be even more expensive. It is sometimes cost prohibitive already, but hemp is such a useful textile and we need more of it here in the United States. So we partnered up with Young Maven, a clothing brand, a hemp clothing brand out of LA. They import their hemp textiles, but they dye and create the clothing all here stateside. So a very intentional company with just a really great vibe and agenda, and they really care about the planet. So that's what 8 Decades is about.
Yes.
It's more than just us trying to sell you a rolling tray. We're trying to encompass a lifestyle of casual casual cannabis consumption without stigma.
There you go. Nice job,
How
Mrs.
about that?
Weedman. That's
How
pretty
about that?
good. That was pretty good. Pow!
I'll pat myself on the back. Pow, pow.
Also, check out the Midwest Turp Off on Sunday, June 22nd, 2025 from 3 to 9 p.m. Welcome to the one-of-a-kind Turpament, where salts versus organics go head-to-head and compete for the first through third place in each category. Joining us will be certified ganjiers and cannabis speakers that will educate us on the certification process to becoming a certified ganjier, right? Ganjier? Ganjier.
Yeah, I think either way.
Either way. Join for a unique experience that is not only educating and the community, but also empowering us. Also, don't miss out on some of the special performances all the way from Ohio, showing Chicago some love on this epic event. And you can check out at Midwest Terps Illinois, or at Midwest_Terps_Illinois.
Yep. And it's Terps with 2 Z's.
Yeah, and you can check that out, and you can go get your tickets there. He probably has a link, or go to ticketleap.events and check out Midwest Turp Off. We hope to see you all there. Mrs. Weedman will be there, definitely hanging out, rolling some doinks. We'll be there having some fun, and hopefully you guys will come out and hang out with us, right?
That's right.
Sweet. So there was something funny that came up the last couple of days. Ed. Do you know who Ed is? Do you want to know who Ed is? You all need to know who Ed is.
Ed.
Ed is a runaway zebra that the zoo lost and was on the loose for more than a week in Tennessee. Was captured on Sunday, and his owners and authorities said, so he's got some owners. He's not from a zoo. He's from some owners. But Ed the zebra, who became a sensation across the news and media and internet, was captured safely after being located in a pasture near a subdivision in the Christiana community in central Tennessee. And the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department confirmed Ed was airlifted and flown. This is the crazy part.
The video was pretty cute.
He was flown by a helicopter with a big smile on his face, just chilling in a big net with
I
his
could
legs
almost picture
hanging
him
out.
like having a joint in his hoof and token, because he just looked like pretty chill up there, floating through the air.
I mean, you ever think you would see a fucking
zebra flying
in the
through the air?
Imagine if you were like super stoned, which I need to
And
get
you didn't
more
know the
of.
story, and you're like,
What the
is
fuck
going
is
on
going
up there?
on?
You want what? You want more weed?
I want some more of that lake
All
effect. But Ed's owner, Laura Ford, told CBS News that the team from Texas helps capture him, and he's safe, and he's 100% healthy, and really enjoyed the dinner on his flight meal. Really enjoyed the dinner that he got.
Silly
The
Ed.
video was great. And the fucking zebra.
You can have a zebra. That's what I'm more
Probably in
interested
certain
in.
states, you could probably certain animals you can buy.
It's an exotic animal.
Yeah,
Are
but
they endangered?
No,
No.
not that I know of. I don't think zebras are endangered. Haven't you watched an animal show where you see a fucking bazillion wildebeest and like 100,000 zebra all hanging out in the pastures?
There's a lot.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know if they're endangered,
I don't think
but
so.
they look pretty. Pretty
They are
neat.
beautiful.
Do you know why they have their stripes?
No.
It's not to look pretty.
Camouflage.
There it is, right there. Because certain felines can't see certain colors, and when they hide in between like the fields and stuff, they don't look.
They blend in with like the branches.
Yeah, but they
Maybe
also
they're
just
stripes.
their eyes don't catch that color.
Hmm.
Hence why a tiger has the colors it has, because the animals it hunts can't see those colors or have trouble seeing certain colors. Pretty interesting, huh?
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
I learned that. Guess who I learned that from?
I don't know.
David Attenborough.
David Attenborough. They share a genus equus with horses and asses. Horses, asses, and zebras.
I have
Interesting.
been called a horse's ass before by my mother.
A jackass?
No, not a jackass, a horse's ass.
Who says that?
My mother said it to me
Why?
one time. She called me a horse's ass.
She doesn't say jackass?
Stop it. She probably
was
called
she
me
trying
a
to be
jackass.
polite?
She probably.
Yeah.
Most likely.
That's
Stop
sweet.
acting like a horse's ass. I'm like, don't you mean a jackass?
She want to swear in front of a kid.
Get it backhand. No, I meant horse's ass. I'm just kidding. I'm on 420.
That's cute.
Oh, I'm super stoked. Father's Day's coming up.
Yeah.
This Sunday. I will tell you this, though. Nobody mentioned Father's Day until like a day or two ago in this house. And Paulie came over and said, "What are we doing Father's Day?" I'm like, "Wow, week before Father's Day. I'm not your father, so you shouldn't have
I'll
to
also
mention
say on Mother's Day, the moms plan and shop and most oftentimes cook for everybody. So there's that
it. You
too.
did a no-cook Mother's Day this year, though.
Yes, but we did all the shopping and cleaning and preparing.
No,
and
the kids did.
putting the food out.
The kids did.
Hmm.
Didn't they?
Hmm.
A little bit?
Hmm.
No.
They made something.
Did they clean?
Hmm.
I think the nieces cleaned.
A few.
There's only like 2 nephews, so there's not many nephews.
Mhm.
But I think the nieces cleaned.
Some of them.
Yeah. But to all you
Yes.
fathers out there, happy Father's Day.
Yes,
And to all
you are important.
And to all you moms
And you
out
deserve
there
a day.
that still had to cook on Mother's Day, I feel it for you because Mrs. Weedman had to too.
It's just the way it is.
But happy
So-
Father's Day, everybody out there. Smoke a big fat joint. Go enjoy yourself. Go golfing. Go to the pool. Go take a ride in your sports car. Go boating. Go do whatever you want. But take your wife with you. Make sure she has a good time too.
Or your kids.
Or your kids.
They make you a dad.
Yeah, that's true too. Take the family and go have some fun on
Yeah.
Father's Day this Sunday, everybody. You ready to get the show started?
Let's do it.
Let's do this. Mutant marijuana is changing how weed is grown. But it's not what you think. And this is an article written by Javier Hassi, I think, which I thought was I wanted to throw him a shout out because I thought it was a very interesting article. All right, stoners, growers, and curious minds. Let's light one up and lean into this, though, because this bit is some sciencey stoner shit and stoner magic that might just make you change the game. So you've heard of seedless watermelons, right?
Yep.
Well, now, actually, I just bought one from Pete's.
A
I haven't
mini
cut
one.
it-
It
a
was
mini
cute.
one. Yeah, I haven't cut it open yet. Right? Well, now, welcome to the seedless weed. We're talking about triploid cannabis, a new kind of plant with 3 sets of chromosomes instead of the usual 2. And get this, it's sterile.
Oh.
That means no seeds ever, just straight flower power. These triploid plants don't mess around. They give you denser buds, bigger yields, faster harvests. Some growers are even seeing up to 20% more biomass.
Wow.
That's not hype. That's science. And the best part, it's all natural breeding. No GMOs
Wow.
here, folks.
Impressive.
Just smart genetics done the old school way. Companies like Humboldt Seed Company and folks in Argentina are leading the charge. They're dialing in these triploids so growers can crank out top-tier seed-free bud without worrying about their crop getting pollinated by that one rogue male plant that's about a couple miles down the road and just needed to get off. But hold up, Mrs. Weedman. It ain't all sunshines and trichomes. Some are worried that everyone jumps on the triploid train.
Yeah.
We could lose genetic diversity.
Yeah.
And because these plants are sterile, you can't just save seeds. You got to keep buying from breeders. That's got some small growers and seed savers a little uneasy. You feel me, Mrs. Weedman?
Yeah. It's going to run dry.
This is still in the early days. The tech is new, but the potential is huge. It's like what triploids did for bananas and watermelons. This could be the next big evolution for cannabis. So keep your eyes on this, fam. Triploid weed might just be the seedless revolution we didn't know we needed. What do you think, Ms. Weeman?
I don't know.
Kind of interesting, huh?
It's interesting, but
Mhm.
I would have some fears about it.
Of course.
If they do that for mass production, that's going to require.
And that's what it's for, though.
Right.
This is
But
not
that's
for
going to
your-
require a lot of seeds. Where are all of those seeds going to come
Well,
from?
they don't need seeds after this.
They're just going to keep cloning these animals or these plants.
Animals, yeah, we're a bunch of animals over here.
I'm baked. They're going to keep cloning the plants, but you can only clone so many generations, right?
Well, I know people that got mothers for like 20 years,
20
25
years,
years.
But could you mass produce off of? You'd have to have multiple mother plants.
Yeah, but you can also do the stem cell too and all that stuff.
Tissue.
Tissue cultures and keep your
Wow.
plants safe. Triploids. Look it up. I might have to talk to Big Earl about this and do a full show.
I'd be
on
interested in hearing what he thinks about
it. Yeah, me too. So I'll have to talk
Tell
to him
us,
about
Big
this
Earl.
if he's heard about this.
Give us the lowdown.
Yeah. But interesting. There was a lot more, really lot of science shit in that article. I just cut it down a little bit, but
That's good.
we'll post it and you can read about it on our YouTube and oh yeah, you should all join our YouTube.
Yeah, you should.
Haven't subscribed yet. We're trying to reach 1,000 followers. I think we're like 6.
We have video.
Almost
you
700.
can also see us.
Yeah, we need about another 300 people to hit a G note. So if you haven't joined our YouTube yet, check out Weedman 420 Chronicles on our YouTube. It's pretty fun. You get to see our faces. Here's this whole THC.
Yeah.
I call it business development, and some people are calling it now business development, or it's not really truly a loophole, right?
Mm-hmm.
But op-ed, hemp THC isn't a loophole; it's the law, right?
Yes.
Tell us about it, Ms. Weeman.
Well, there's a persistent misconception about hemp-derived THC, that it exists in a legal gray area, a convenient workaround for cannabis brands trying to skirt regulation. That framing isn't just lazy, it's wrong. What we're seeing with hemp-derived THC is not a loophole. It's the result of a clear and specific legal distinction that's expanding access to cannabis in ways the traditional industry still hasn't managed. This shift traces back to the 2018 Farm Bill, which federally legalized hemp by defining it as cannabis containing less than 0.3% THC. That 0.3% figure isn't based on science or user experience. It was a legislative compromise. But it created a powerful legal opening, a way for products to include THC and still be federally compliant, as long as they meet that dry weight threshold. And here's what matters most. Hemp and marijuana are biologically the same plant, Cannabis sativa. The difference isn't botanical. It's legal. Hemp is simply cannabis with less than 0.3% THC. That is, genetically and chemically, it's the same plant. This distinction has allowed brands like Miss Grass to formulate products that are federally legal and still deliver a meaningful cannabis experience. A 4.5 gram gummy, for example, can legally contain up to 13.5 milligrams of Delta-9 THC. How can it have the 13? Because it's coming from a plant that has less than 0.3%. It doesn't matter what the byproduct of that plant is.
Right. Dry matter has to be 0.3%.
Well, our Jules gummies contain either 5 or 10 milligrams each and are compliant, precisely dosed, and effective. Delta-9 THC is Delta-9 THC. It doesn't matter whether it comes from hemp or marijuana. The molecule is identical. The only difference is how the law classifies the source. That technically has huge implications because in one context, it's a felony, and in another, it's a wellness product. The science doesn't change, but the rules do, and for consumers, that creates confusion. What's happening now is that a parallel market is emerging. It's federally legal, often sold online, and available in places where cannabis laws remain restrictive. This market isn't about cutting corners. It's about meeting real demand in a flawed system. The licensed cannabis industry is still saddled with high taxes, rigid marketing rules, and state-by-state fragmentation. Meanwhile, hemp-derived products offer something the regulated market often can't: access. That access matters. It matters for consumers who can't walk into a dispensary because of location or legal status. It matters for brands that don't have millions in venture backing to navigate the licensing gauntlet. And it matters for the normalization of cannabis more broadly because it brings THC products into everyday retail spaces, making the plant more visible and more accepted. Of course, this isn't a perfect solution. The regulatory framework around hemp-derived THC is still evolving. There is confusion at the state level, inconsistency in enforcement, and a plethora of subpar products in the mix. But that's all the more reason to have serious conversations about what responsible cannabis access should look like. What's frustrating is how often this space is treated as illegitimate. But the popularity of these products is telling us something. People want access to cannabis. They want quality, transparency, and legality. And in the absence of federal cannabis reform, hemp-derived THC is filling the gap. At Miss Grass, we're not abandoning the dispensary model. We believe in a licensed, regulated industry that works. But we also believe in reality. Hemp-derived THC products are here, and they're helping more people experience the plant on their own terms. This isn't about loopholes. It's about possibilities. If anything, the strange legal overlap between hemp and marijuana should be a call to rethink how we regulate this plant altogether. Until we get there, many brands will keep pushing forward, committed to education and the truth, because everyone deserves access to the plant.
That line is the best.
Yeah.
Everybody deserves access to the plant.
I do appreciate that perspective and that opinion.
Yeah.
I couldn't get on board with that. I was probably more in the way leaning into the gray area. But if you really technically look at the laws and you look at the products, it's not a loophole.
What have I always said?
It's business development.
Business development.
I think you're right, Mr. Weedman.
I'm right about a few things on this show in my last 6 years. I've been right about a few things. I have. Not a lot, a few. And I'll give credit where credit's due.
That's right.
Thanks, Ms. Weedman.
You got it.
Fist bump. Cannabis compound versus deadly fungus. It's a battle, a duke it out. It was amazing to read this article to find out about how cannabis is just a fucking greatest plant ever. It fights and kills deadly fungi. Didn't know about that, did you, Mrs. Weedman? Okay, fam, clear head, spark this one up, and lean into your speaker. Because today we're diving into some next level plant power, Miss Weeman. Turns out cannabis might be more than just a vibe. It could be a lifesaver. You know what lifesavers are for? You know why? Yeah. You know why they have the hole in the middle?
Yeah, so you don't choke.
Yeah, I knew you knew. Candy fanatic fiend over there back in the day. Not anymore.
No.
A year, right? We haven't really eaten candy. We still eat chocolate. We're not saying chocolate. We're talking about hard candy, red dye candy, all the Skittles, Swedish Fish, all that kind of shit. When was the last time we had some of that?
I think sometime in September.
So it'll be a year in September?
More like 8 months or something.
Dang, crazy. So picture this. Cryptococcus neoformans. That's a mouthful even for Mr. Weeman. But it's also one of the nastiest fungal baddies out there, responsible for deadly cryptococcal meningitis.
Oh my.
When it hits your central nervous system. Mortality? Yeah, it's freaking high. You can die. But hold up. Researchers in our great country of Australia found that cannabis isn't just good for chilling. They tested 2 compounds, Ms. Weedman, CBD and CBDV. And boom, they killed the fungus dead in the lab dishes. Faster than current antifungal meds. No joke, Ms. Weedman. Now, smoking on a joint won't cure this, though. I wish. Smoking on a joint should cure everything. Don't you agree, Mrs. Weedman? Yeah. Cures a lot. Should cure everything. But these were tested topically, and the results were wild. They didn't just drop Cryptococcus. These compounds also took on other fungi, like the ones that give you jock itch and athlete's foot. Jock itch. That must be a bitch right there. Talk about a broad spectrum green shield. These cannabinoids mess with the fungus cell membrane, mess up egrosterol production. That's like the fungal version of cholesterol. Learn something every day, Ms. Weedman.
That's right.
Disrupt metabolic pathways and even throw a wrench into the mitochondrial proteins. Bottom line, CBD and CBDV are sabotaging the fungus factory.
That's pretty impressive.
Isn't it?
How are they applying it to
Topical.
Yep.
But folks, wait, there's more. They didn't stop in petri dishes. They moved into live testing using wax moth larvae. And don't freak out, everybody. It's standard lab stuff to mimic how infections work in animals. They gave the larvae burn wounds, infected them intentionally, and hit different groups with either plain solvent, standard antifungals, or cannabis compounds.
Poor little larvae. Do they have nerves?
If it was a magnet, would you? If it was
larvae
larvae,
can
moth larvae,
duplicate really fast, right?
They said I read about these moths. They produce pretty good. There's no.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's just like the rats in the sewers of Chicago. There's about 6 million of them down there.
They could use a few of those. Yeah. I think those are a breed of a different kind.
Yeah,
not meant for testing.
So here's the result. Ready? The larvae treated with CBD survived way more than those old school drugs, and came close to the uninfected control group. Stunning, right? Freaking stunning. Here's the kicker. Topical CBD oil might actually work for real-world fungal infections, like athlete's foot, ringworm. If this pans out in humans, you might just grab a CBD rub, and next time you're dealing with fungal flare-ups. Man, imagine putting some fucking CBD on your jock.
Got a fungal flare-up? Use this. CBD cream.
By Mrs. Weedman.
For your jock itch. Itch no more. Rub-a-dub-dub.
I'm not even get started with that.
You do it.
I'm good. I don't know if this is the kind of show for that. It could be.
OnlyFans, right? Sometimes, why are we working so hard?
Hey, but remember though,
we might have missed that window though. For an OnlyFans.
By years. Yeah. You still got pretty toes though. I think we still can start a.
There's a lot of pretty toes out there.
You got pretty
that are
toes.
much younger.
But having 3 sisters with their pretty toes all together.
Oh, we talk about that.
That's a big one.
We have those. Me and my sisters have these conversations. People are working really hard, and you just not getting quite where you want to be in life, right? And then there's OnlyFans. You get some good genetics and shit. You're a fucking millionaire.
They should hire you right now for that commercial. They should pay us for that commercial we just gave them.
Yeah.
That was a good commercial.
Right. So we decided, I have 4 sisters. There's 5 of us. And a few of us, when we were together, were talking about this and said, one thing, there's a lot of pretty feet out there, I'm sure. There's a lot of successful. Let's go to the obscure.
But 3 sisters.
Let's go to the obscure. Let's have 3 sisters' toes, right? So how many is that? 10, that's 30 toes, and just do strange shit with them.
Smoke a joint with one of them.
Smoke a joint with them. Not overtly sexual. I think there's people who have
a
weird.
Joint around with your feet.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of
fun. They should be stoner feet.
Let me finish this. I'm almost done. Ready?
Okay.
But remember, this is the early stage stuff. It's lab data, not prescriptions. Still, it's another dial turned on cannabis. This plant keeps on giving, just like the giving tree, right, Mrs. Weedman? Great book. And evolving from recreational rebel to medical MVP. That's your science sesh. Let the fucking weed do its magic. So go ahead, talk about your OnlyFans.
Oh, that's really it.
That's it?
I mean, we just talk about how, maybe we should just do it.
I think you should. I would give
What's the harm?
I would give the three of you money on your OnlyFans.
I think people will give us money. We might have to try it.
It would be funny if you put little wrestling outfits on them and have wrestling foot matches and shit in a ring. That'd be kind of with little
Mud
faces,
wrestling?
with little faces on them and shit. Now we're talking.
That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, I think you'd get a couple thousand people watching.
Just
Three
somehow we have to get
sister toe.
we have to make it like a boxing ring and just have our big toes come up from the underside of the boxing ring. Which then means the toes will never touch each other. They'll be like boxing from way far away.
Imagine if you did imagine if you can do a rock and sock 'em robots with your toes, like when it would hit, it would just pop up in the air. Okay. Oh, Lake Effect by Midwest Terps. Right on, brother.
Battle bots.
Oh yeah, it's a good plant for giving you some energy.
Energy.
All right, this big thing.
Yep.
We've been talking about it for a few years
We
now.
have
Cannabis hypermesis syndrome. This is some interesting take on it though, right?
Yes.
Just some more information.
Yep.
Go ahead and tell us about
This
Ms.
is written
Weedman.
by Dr. Peter Grinspoon. So this is coming from a physician, so a scientist. I think it's important to know that. Cannabis is indispensable for millions of patients to help alleviate a variety of gastrointestinal symptoms, including colitis, gastroparesis, irritable bowel syndrome, and particularly chemotherapy-induced nausea and vomiting. It is used with great success for migraines and is also used to treat a miserable related syndrome called cyclic vomiting syndrome. Although cannabis is not recommended for use during pregnancy, despite the fact that it is highly effective for the nausea and vomiting associated with morning sickness. But for some, cannabis actually causes vomiting. This increasingly diagnosed condition is called cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, or CHS. Some drugs have paradoxical reactions, meaning that a small percentage of patients experience effects that are opposite from the usual and intended effects. So, nausea goes away for most cannabis consumers. If you have hyperemesis, then you're going to get nauseous from it. So it's just a flip of the script, right? For example, Benadryl makes most people sleepy, which is why it's the active ingredient in Tylenol PM. However, a small percentage of patients become wired and physiologically excited after consuming Benadryl. Another example, barbiturates. They are usually extremely sedating, but a subset of people become highly activated after taking them. Moreover, some drugs are biphasic, meaning that in low doses they have one effect and in higher doses they have a different effect. Using cannabis to treat anxiety is the perfect example of this. When used at a low dose, it helps alleviate anxiety for most people, while high doses can cause severe anxiety and may even lead to a full-blown panic attack. Any of us who have accidentally consumed too large of a dose can attest to this fact. Given this framework, it is not difficult to understand that cannabis might alleviate nausea at low doses and might exacerbate it at high doses. The most dramatic example of this is when people green out, meaning that they actually consume much too high a dose of cannabis. They can spend the rest of the evening barfing uncontrollably, and it's not fun. This particular reaction is best considered a toxic overdose, and it demonstrates that cannabis can cause nausea and vomiting. Cannabis hypermesis is a chronic cannabis-inducing vomiting syndrome among heavy, regular cannabis users, and it's being increasingly recognized. Cannabis hypermesis syndrome, or CHS, largely afflicts a majority of long-standing, heavy users of cannabis. It is characterized by severe episodic nausea and vomiting, often accompanied by abdominal pain and weight loss. Curiously, people report taking hot showers to alleviate the symptoms, which can be a clue toward diagnosis. This syndrome does not occur with people taking an occasional sociable puff of cannabis at a party. This syndrome does not often occur with medical patients taking a modest dose of cannabis every day, such as a small regular dose of an edible or a puff or two for chronic pain. It almost predominantly occurs in heavy cannabis users and most typically occurs in young men aged 16 to 34. People with CHS often end up in the emergency room, possibly several times a month, with electrolyte abnormalities, severe dehydration, and occasionally more ominous symptoms, such as muscle breakdown or, uncommonly, seizures. There can also be acute kidney failure, esophageal injuries from intense vomiting, and pneumomodiastenum, which is when you throw up so intensely that you tear a hole inside your chest.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But didn't we talk about this before about like the high dose, like people taking high dose, like extremely high dose and like smoking 24/7, like constantly? We talked about this before, like ease back a little bit on your intake a little bit. You don't need your endocannabinoid system doesn't need as much as you think it needs, you know, and this is why people are getting sick. Right? I mean, basically
that's what they're saying, yeah. But cannabis hypermesis has gone from being underdiagnosed to being overdiagnosed. We didn't have a definition of it in 2004, so before then, it was never diagnosed. Even after it was clearly defined as a syndrome, emergency room department doctors didn't associate cannabis, a drug known for helping nausea and vomiting in cancer patients, as the cause of these wretched symptoms. Also, patients were not particularly forthcoming about their cannabis use due to the war on drugs, which made an accurate diagnosis less likely, since you can't get a diagnosis of CHS without cannabis in the picture. That's huge. Today, with more scientific understanding, more clinical experience, and more accepting attitudes toward cannabis use, it is frequently diagnosed in the emergency room. The increased incidence of CHS likely has to do with the fact that cannabis is much stronger than it used to be, and people are using it heavily, both of which are risk factors for the condition. At the same time, given that it is now a diagnosis that doctors frequently read about in the press, many patients who present with vomiting and who have admitted to cannabis use at any point can be given this diagnosis without much deeper thought, leading to overdiagnosis. The problem with this automatic default diagnosis of CHS is that it might not be accurate. For example, there is a syndrome called cyclic vomiting syndrome, or CVS, like the drugstore, which presents in almost the exact same manner as CHS. One main difference is that with CVS, there is less of a history of trying to self-treat with hot showers. Otherwise, they can appear in an identical manner. CVS is a complex syndrome of nausea and vomiting that is physiologically related to migraines. This means a patient can often present with A, cannabis use, and B, nausea and vomiting, and therefore will almost automatically be given a diagnosis of CHS. Yet, the diagnosis shouldn't be for CHS. It should be for CVS, which is being treated with medical cannabis. This is a perfect example of how CHS can be misdiagnosed. The only way to differentiate between CHS and CVS is to stop using cannabis for 3 to 6 months. If the problem resolves, it was CHS. If the problem continues without any cannabis use, it is CVS. And the only true diagnostic tool and treatment for CHS is complete cessation of cannabis use. Unfortunately, very few heavy cannabis users manage to remain abstinent for the 3 to 6 months it takes to develop an accurate diagnosis. In my book, the doctor wrote a book, apparently. In my book, this can be considered an example of cannabis addiction. My best definition of addiction is continued use despite negative consequences. Not being able to stop a drug that is likely responsible for landing you in the ER several times a month with great misery and expense certainly falls into the category of continued use despite negative consequences. I have had several patients go through this exact scenario, and it is awful to witness. Short of cannabis cessation, there are standard treatments for CHS, which often start with aggressive hydration, which helps restore kidney function, and with repletion of electrolytes, which can be dangerously depleted, such as magnesium, phosphorus, and potassium. Imaging is done to make sure there isn't anything else going on, such as pancreatitis or gallbladder inflammation. In CHS, traditional medications for nausea tend to be less effective, but we still rely on the usual meds, compazine and Zofran. When these don't work, we often must escalate to more heavy-duty medications, such as IV Haldol, which is an antipsychotic drug, and intravenous Ativan, which is a strong sedative benzodiazepine. Interestingly, the nausea can often respond to capsaicin cream rubbed on the belly due to a specific type of receptor thought to be involved in CHS. As mentioned, hot baths or showers can provide relief as well. Cannabis cessation among heavy daily users can result in significant withdrawal symptoms such as irritability, insomnia, anxiety, and lack of appetite, all of which are the opposite of what people use cannabis to treat in the first place. The current behavior treatments for cannabis misuse are not particularly effective. They include psychotherapy, such as cognitive behavior therapy, support groups, such as the cult-like Marijuana Anonymous. I don't know why they call it cult-like, but there's a Marijuana Anonymous, or groups like Smart Recovery, and the utilization of other medications, such as gabapentin or anticonvulsants, all of which aren't particularly effective and which have serious side effects. Future direction. Where do we see this going? How can we lessen the harms and suffering associated with CHS? I suggest a harm reduction framework. We can encourage cannabis users to tone down the volume and frequency of their use to keep their consumption at a sustainable level. Lots of people puff away all day with decreasing benefit and accumulating harm. We can stop, as a society, fetishizing high THC above all else. If we breed cannabis to be comprised of something of somewhat less THC and instead to include more of other healthful cannabinoids such as CBD, CBC, and CBN, then there might be fewer problems such as CHS. We should encourage people to avoid concentrates as these are extremely potent, often up to 95% THC. We should encourage patients to procure their cannabis through the legal market so they know it has been tested. We can thus be reasonably assured that the cannabis is free of heavy metals, lead, pesticides, and fungus, none of which can possibly be helpful in cases of CHS. ER doctors, really all doctors, can do better by not jumping to conclusions that any syndrome of vomiting in a cannabis user is CHS, so we don't continue to misdiagnose it. If someone looks like they have CHS but can't stop using cannabis for long enough to make an accurate diagnosis, we need to devote the necessary resources to treating this problem, as we should with any other addiction. We must continue to lessen the stigma surrounding cannabis use so that people can readily admit their consumption to their doctors. This way they can ask for help if they need it. The more our society can come to common ground around cannabis about the harms as well as the benefits, the more we can have helpful communication instead of discord. There will be much less confusion and disagreement around cannabis-related problems, including cannabis hyperemesis syndrome.
That was a good article.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking care of that one.
Sure.
Good stuff. Cannabis and Care, Howard University groundbreaking study explores marijuana in treatment of sickle cell disease. All right, fam. It's time to take another deep dive into the green frontier. Not just recreational, but revolutionary medicine. Today we're talking about an important new study from Howard University, where pediatric researchers are exploring how cannabis could help treat sickle cell disease in young patients. Sickle cell disease, you know the drill. It is a genetic blood disorder where red blood cells twist into sickle shape, clogging blood flow, causing crazy pain episodes, fatigue, and even organ damage. It's lifelong and brutal. Since opioid restrictions are tightening and doctors are looking for alternative chronic pain solutions, the study is stepping in, asking the real questions. Are teens and young adults with sickle cell turning to cannabis for better pain relief, improved sleep, or boosted mood? And what can we actually learn from them? Here's the setup. From ages 14 to 30, participants filled out surveys. First in person, then online to keep things real and anonymous. They reported their cannabis use frequency and purpose, pain, sleep, mood, etc. What's the goal here? Understand why these young people choose cannabis and whether it helps, hurts their quality of life as they manage sickle cell symptoms. Howard's team, in partnership with Raina Pediatric Fund, features heavy hitters like Dr. Patrice Holden, and genetic counselor Joanne Aldberg, aiming to offer dignity and autonomy for patients with holistic treatment options. But they're still in the early stages. They haven't pinned down how they're using cannabis, smoking, edibles, teas, topicals, or what the long-term effect looks like, and noting standardization is not there yet. The researchers emphasize there's a lot of work ahead. They need to look at modes of consumption, the impacts of use during pregnancy, fatigue levels, emotional regulation, you name it. There's also a voice for community empowerment. Advocate Simona Wright James reminds us that cannabis has helped her manage chronic PMS without numbness or dull, renewed understanding. It's time to embrace cannabis as medicine and reframe the narrative. Clinicians, elders, and skeptics all included. So what's next? Howard University will publish their first survey results, and will push further into comparing different modes of cannabis use across the broad demographic. They want to know, can cannabis offer relief for pain and anxiety with clarity of mind? Ultimately, these families dealing with sickle cell, they deserve a choice. And this study is the first step towards reclaiming control, system management, selfhood, and dignity. That's radical healing, and it's powered by plant medicine. Sweet.
This strain,
yes,
is really slowing our brain.
It hit hard first.
Yeah,
I was all like, woo-hoo.
But we're both reading like kind of 10 more minutes. 10 more minutes. Got a little bit of that robotic thing happening.
Move going. Some people like to call it dramatic bullet points or dramatic like periods, exclamation points, and questions.
Yeah.
Instead of being robotic, right? No,
we're just, or I'm just hearing differently.
What you're hearing.
I'm just hearing. I'll have to listen to it back.
We will.
I know.
We will about like an hour from now when we just do a quick little listen through. Mm-hmm. Oh man, you love crystals.
I do.
We have a lot of crystals.
I've always been a little bit of a hippy dippy.
Yes, I have crystals on my arm. I wear crystals around my arms a lot. You know, we have them all throughout the house. I even put crystals in my soil and my plants now. And I learned that from UFO Genetics when we had them on the show a while back ago. So, cannabis and crystal pairing, not for growing, for clarity, enhancing your what, Mrs. Weedman?
Your mind and your spirit.
Ooh,
yes.
Tell us about it, Mrs. Weedman.
Cannabis and crystals have long been celebrated for their natural healing properties, each offering unique benefits to enhance the mind, body, and spirit. When paired together, these elements can create a harmonious environment that encourages clarity and mindfulness. As the interest in holistic health continues to grow, many are discovering how combining cannabis with specific crystals can boost mental clarity, emotional balance, and spiritual awareness. This article explores how different cannabis strains and crystals work synergistically to promote clarity and well-being. Cannabis has a wide range of effects depending on the strain, with various compounds such as THC or tetrahydrocannabinol and CBD or cannabidiol playing a role in shaping the experience. Some strains are uplifting, helping to clear mental fog and improve focus, while others are more relaxing, helping with stress relief. For clarity, it is essential to choose strains that stimulate the mind without overwhelming it. Sativa-dominant strains such as Jack Herer and Green Crack are often ideal for enhancing focus, mental sharpness, and creativity. These strains contain higher levels of THC, which promotes an energizing, clear-headed experience. On the other hand, CBD-rich strains like AC/DC or Harlequin are perfect for those who seek mental clarity without the psychoactive effects of THC. These strains promote relaxation and focus while reducing anxiety, allowing individuals to experience clarity in a calm and centered state. When used in combination with specific crystals, cannabis can act as a powerful tool for deepening meditation, enhancing mindfulness, and gaining clarity on complex issues or decisions. Crystals are often used in alternative healing practices for their supposed energetic properties. Different crystals are believed to resonate with specific frequencies, which can influence emotional and mental states. For mental clarity, certain crystals are particularly helpful. Clear quartz is often called the master healer because of its ability to amplify energy and thoughts. Known for its clarity and ability to clear mental blockages, clear quartz is an excellent choice when paired with cannabis for mental focus. It can help in meditation by promoting clear thinking and deep insight. Amethyst, its calming and purifying properties, is another great crystal for pairing with cannabis. Known for its ability to balance the mind and reduce stress, amethyst encourages a peaceful mental state, allowing for clarity and understanding. Whether you're looking to enhance your meditation session or gain perspective on a life decision, amethyst can create a supportive environment for clarity to emerge. Lapis lazuli is another powerful crystal for enhancing clarity. It is believed to aid in communication and self-expression, making it an ideal choice for those seeking to gain clarity in their thoughts and articulate their ideas more clearly. When combined with a sativa strain like Jack Herer, lapis lazuli can amplify mental sharpness and open the mind to new ideas. Part of my problem right now is that my mind is completely elsewhere, like in this like creative spiral of ideas, and then I'm trying to read and stay focused. It's fun being with this brain. The key to effective pairings lies in the balance of both elements. For those seeking to enhance clarity, pairing a clear-headed sativa with a clear quartz crystal can boost focus, mental clarity, and insight during meditation. Similarly, for individuals looking to reduce stress while achieving mental clarity, a CBD-dominant strain paired with amethyst can create a calming yet clear mental space. Crystals can be worn as jewelry, placed around the meditation space, or held during cannabis consumption to align the energies of both. Regular practice of pairing cannabis and crystals can help in developing a deeper connection with oneself and a more focused, clear-minded perspective on life. Incorporating cannabis and crystals into your wellness routine can enhance mental clarity and emotional balance. By selecting the right combination of strains and crystals, you can deepen your mindfulness practice and foster an environment of clarity that supports both your mental and spiritual well-being.
You love your crystals.
I do.
They're pretty, though, all around the house. You have them all over. It's great. Healing, clarity. Awesome. You've also have a very good shell collection, too.
Yes.
Over the years. And rocks.
I like my rocks.
You do? Especially when you go to Indiana Dunes or Michigan Dunes. You are a rock collector. And glass, too. Beach glass.
That's very infrequent.
Yes.
Not like it used to be. It's like a nugget when you find a piece.
But when you do...
Oh, it's, yeah.
We need to go to California to Glass Beach.
I feel like that's kind of like the cheating way.
No.
It's outside of a
just to see
it's outside of a glass
but
factory.
Just so you've been there.
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong.
I
do want to go.
You'd probably take
fun.
the whole beach. You can make lamps and fucking tile and everything with it.
Something.
Political state and business news. Illinois just paused 137 new adult use weed licenses. Why? To give social equity applicants more time, funding, and space before non-equity shops move in. So no new dispensaries. Guess my alerts are off till equity rolls up. Wah, wah, wah. The Illinois Department of Financial and Professional Regulation announced today that recreational cannabis sales totals for April 2025, we're just getting them now. It took a while for them to count all that money, reached $146 million, $605,932.99. A slight drop from March, though. I know the reason, though. I'll tell you all in a second. Totals, but more than April 2024. For the first 4 months of 2025, Illinois sales totals nearly matched the first 4 months of 2024. January through April totals in 2024 reached almost $600 million. January-April totals of 2025, almost $600 million. They were by like $2 million difference. Totals for the next 8 months will decide if Illinois will decrease in overall year-over-year cannabis sales for the first time since adult use legalization. Okay, everybody, I'm going to tell you a little secret here. Why we were down April this year versus March this year. But we sold more items in April, though,
right,
than we did the year before, and the year before that, and the year before that. A lot more items. More SKUs were sold this year. Then also in March. Can I tell you the reason, Mrs. Weedman?
Tell me.
Because all you sale shoppers out there on 420 this year, 420 was on a Sunday, so everybody ran their sales for like almost the whole entire week.
People bought more things, but it cost less because of the sales.
Or what they normally would buy was 30% off versus 20% off or 40% off. Or there was deals like a shit ton of buy one, get ones. Or there was a buy five, I saw an edible deal, buy 500 milligrams for like $75.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's a deal.
Yeah, in Illinois it is.
If it's
do you want to know? Do you want to know right now in fucking Michigan though? You can get 5 200 milligram bags of gummies. You want to know how much?
$20.
Less.
Come on.
I've seen them for $19.
Wow.
I've seen it for 25 too. So I would say between $18 to $25, you can get 1,000 milligrams.
Good product?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Some name brands too.
How are the businesses even staying alive?
Volume. Michigan's going to do $3 billion this year. So volume.
Yeah.
Here in Illinois, prices are still high
but there's a cost of doing business.
Of course.
And is there enough volume, but there's a lot of cost.
Of course. So that means you got to triple your volume.
Yeah.
You know? Here in Illinois, why in Illinois our prices hasn't gone that low yet, but you see sales at certain times that are so low, and new dispensaries opening up doing like 60% off the first week they're open. It's like, oh my God, just to get people to come to the store because we all are a bunch of sales shoppers. So that's my reasoning why, even though we sold more in April, units wise, but the sales were down, and you're going to see that happen more and more. So get ready. And in Illinois, still going to want their taxes. Don't forget that. Vermont just gave growers a big nope. Lawmakers said nope to letting them sell direct at fairs and farmers markets because, limited shelf space means we totally can't trust them to hustle their own flower. Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, a.k.a. Doge, just wrapped up its stint at the U.S. Institute of Peace. Spoiler, though, Mrs. Weedman. They trashed the place. Think rats, cockroaches, and discarded marijuana. Because who doesn't leave a mess when they're efficiency experts? Hold up. New Orleans medical marijuana dispensaries are now offering free delivery for orders over $100. Because who needs to leave the couch when you can get your meds delivered right to your door? Next thing you know, they'll be offering complimentary snacks with every order. Well, California cannabis market just hit a new low, literally. Q1 2025 sales plummeted to, I don't feel bad about this though, $1.088 billion.
Wow.
Marking an 11% drop from last year. Looks like the only thing higher than
11%?
Yeah, 11% drop.
Wow.
Looks like the only thing higher in taxes is the decline in sales. Maybe it's time for a revolution. Well. President Trump is at it again. While he's out there calling for the death penalty for drug dealers and escalating the U.S. drug war, he also pardoning and commuting the sentence of at least 13 individuals convicted of serious drug crimes. Talk about mixed signals. It's like saying, don't do drugs. But if you do, make sure you're influential enough to get the free pass. Guess the war on drugs is the only for the little guys, huh, Mrs. Weedman?
I guess.
Hold up, fam. GOP's got a new plan. Ban all hemp products with THC. Yep, that means goodbye to Delta 8, CBD gummies, your favorite hemp flower. The House Appropriations Subcommittee just approved a bill that could wipe out the hemp industry as we know it. Advocates are calling it devastating. So if you're into hemp, now might be the time to stock up. Stay tuned. We'll keep you more informed on that and some updates as we know more. Well, folks, Vermont Supreme Court just ruled against Jason Struthers, the Essex Junction farmer growing cannabis, and he raises ducks in his backyard.
Oh, ducks and weed.
The court says towns can regulate both farming and cannabis cultivation through local zoning laws. Struthers holding a state license is now godsmacked and considering his options. Meanwhile, his neighbors, the wily Padnoses, are celebrating the decision. Looks like the backyard from Sega is far from over. Hold on to your kombucha, folks. An alcohol industry exec argues that hemp beverages should be regulated, not banned. Why? Because a smart regulatory framework is a bridge to legitimacy, investment, and growth, not a barrier. So let's not throw the hemp drink out with the bathwater. I say salute to that, Mrs. Weedman. Well, looks like Jack Daniels is feeling the heat. Can you feel the heat? CEO Lawson Whiting admits that marijuana legalization is putting pressure on the spirits industry, contributing to decline in profits. Apparently, consumers are choosing cannabis over whiskey, especially that Tennessee whiskey. Who knew? Maybe it's time for Jack to roll with the times and add a little THC to the mix. Cheers to change, Mrs. Weedman.
Cheers.
I mean, Jack Daniels, classic brand's been around for a very long time, but cannabis has been around longer. Much longer than you, right. Jack Daniels. I don't feel bad. Welfare benefits in weed. A tangled tale. Hold up, fam. Looks like the USDA's got a new FAQ, and it's stirring the pot. First, they said SNAP benefits can't buy CBD products. Then they walked it back, saying no cannabis marijuana items allowed. So what's the deal, Mr. Weedman? One thing's clear. The rules are as clear as mud. We'll get back to you more on that. Ms. Weedman?
Mr. Weedman.
It's your turn.
Yeah.
Tell us about the news.
I've got some political, state, and business news. Hold on to your hemp hats, folks. North Carolina's Governor Josh Stein is backing marijuana legalization and has formed a bipartisan commission to craft a plan. The goal? To regulate the unregulated hemp market and ensure public safety. Looks like the Tar Heel state is finally rolling with the times. Let's see if the legislature follows suit or if they just leave it alone. Hey, Ohioans. Governor Mike DeWine just announced the 2025 sales tax holiday, now a 2-week extravaganza. From August 1st to the 14th, you can snag most items under $500 without paying sales tax. That means tax-free shopping for school supplies, electronics, clothing, and more. But hold up, alcohol, tobacco, vapor products, and items containing marijuana are still taxable. Go figure. So stock up on those back-to-school essentials and household goodies while you can. Hold on to your hemp hats again, folks. California's cannabis tax revenue for Q1 2025 has been reported at $237.4 million. with $140.6 million from excise tax and $96.8 million from sales tax. While the total is down from last quarter's $255.5 million, it is still a solid haul.
I don't feel bad.
And hey, with late returns still coming in, that number might just get a little greener. A new biz study reveals that after adult use marijuana legalization, hotel revenues jumped by 25.2%, or about $63,671 monthly. The effects continue to grow even 6 years later. So if you're planning a cannabis-friendly getaway, it might be time to book a room. Just remember, no smoking in the lobby unless it's the 420-friendly lounge. Jackpot or just luck. Minnesota just awarded 249 recreational marijuana licenses through a lottery. That's right, no skill, just pure chance. Out of 776 qualified social equity applicants, those lucky winners now have the green light to grow, sell, or manufacture cannabis. But wait, before popping the champagne, they still need to pass background checks and secure labor peace agreements. So, while the odds were better than winning the Powerball, the journey is far from over. Stay tuned for the next chapter in Minnesota's cannabis saga. GOP's hemp head scratcher. In a surprising twist, GOP Congress members, yes, even those who support marijuana legalization, are backing a bill to ban most consumable hemp products. Why? They argue that the 2018 Farm Bill's hemp legalization opened the door to gas station weed and synthetic cannabinoids. So, they're pushing to redefine hemp federally, potentially banning products with any quantifiable THC or similar effects. Looks like the green rush might be hitting a red light. Big Tech meets cannabis retail. Big Tech is diving into cannabis retail. Companies like Dutchie and LeafLink are revolutionizing the industry with e-commerce platforms, point-of-sale systems, and inventory management tools tailored for dispensaries. They're streamlining operations, ensuring compliance, and enhancing customer experiences. It's like the Amazon of weed, but with a touch of Silicon Valley innovation. So if you're in the cannabis biz, it's time to tech up or risk getting left in the smoke. Stay tuned for more updates on this green tech revolution. All right, folks, let's talk about... Hang on, I need a drink of water. Pardon me. That's a lot of talking, being a newscaster.
Adding that extra to you know, I used to do all that, the 3 or 4 pages.
How did you do that?
I did.
All right, folks, let's talk about HHC, hexahydrocannabinol. It's a synthetic cannabinoid that's been popping up in edibles and gummies. Sounds fun, right? Not so fast. Users have reported nausea, vomiting, dizziness, and even memory loss after consuming HHC products. One hemp store manager in New Orleans is now warning customers to start with a small dose and be cautious. So, if you're curious about HHC, maybe take it slow and see how you react. And remember, when it comes to cannabinoids, less can sometimes be more. So stay safe out there. And on to some big news from Granite State. New Hampshire's House of Representatives just advanced 2 groundbreaking bills. First is the HB 528, aiming to reduce penalties for psilocybin possession, making a first offense a simple violation with a fine up to $100. Second, HB 53 proposes allowing registered medical marijuana patients to grow their own cannabis at home, up to 3 mature plants,
Yay.
3 immature ones, and 12 seedlings.
Yay.
These moves signal a shift toward more progressive drug policies in New Hampshire. Now it's up to the Senate to decide if these reforms will take root. That's the news with Gary Gnu.
No news is good news
with Gary
Gnu. Back over to me, right, Ms. Weedman?
That's right.
Big news. Bay State buds. Massachusetts House just unanimously passed a major cannabis reform, ditching the medical-only vertical integration rule, boosting retail licenses from 4 to 6 over the next 3 years, and overhauling the Cannabis Control Commission after those scandals. More stores, more flower, fewer bureaucratic weeds in the mix. Consumers and operators are cheering, unless the Senate stalls it. Hey, Massachusetts, you ready to reap the greens? Hold on to your bong, folks. A reported Bigfoot sighting in Monroe, Michigan. Is my brother Bigfoot out there? We don't know it.
He's on his way.
Yeah. It got a cannabis dispensary offering a free pre-roll if you bring a photographic proof. I have a photograph of Bigfoot. Yeah. I got a picture with Bigfoot because apparently everybody chasing Sasquatch these days. Talk about the next level marketing. Forget Yelp reviews. Have a one fuzzy giant creature pick. And the ganja's on us. Who knew Bigfoot was the new influencer in the weed world? Stay tuned. You might just spot a Sasquatch and leave high on more than just what you found.
There is an AI video. Have you seen it?
No.
Of the Sasquatch getting baked. He's out in nature.
It must be my brother because that's the what Sasquatch I've ever gotten baked with.
And he's like, in some scenes, he looks more like an ape than he looks like what you would think Bigfoot. And then in other scenes, he looks more like Bigfoot. But he talks. He's like, dude, like, bro, that was a good joint. Wow, look at it out here. The trees are so green. It's funny.
Rhode Island's Hemp Havoc. Rhode Island's cooking up drama. Bills H6056 and H6270 would flat out ban hemp-derived THC drinks unless sold in dispensaries. Lawmakers claim it's unregulated chaos. I beg to differ, though. Licensed farms already follow strict tests, packaging, age checks, and traceability. Basically, they're punishing legit growers. So yeah, what's the rush? Let's regulate it based on science, not stigma. Right, Mrs. Weedman?
That's right.
Missouri's stealthy shelf checks. Big news in the show me state. Starting July 1st, Missouri's regulators will roll into dispensaries unannounced, scooping up about 50 products a month for surprise lab testing. They're checking for mold, pesticides, and THC accuracy. Officials say its compliance backup through some labs might flip. Past mystery shopping hasn't been pretty. So next time you're browsing bud, remember, Big Brother might be doing your shopping for you. Stay compliant. Or just pipe down and pass the dutiful puff. Tariffs tanking your bud? All right, crew. Things just got a little pricier in the weed world. U.S. tariffs on Chinese imports like vape hardware, packaging, grow gear, or hiking cost for cannabis companies. Producers are paying more for pre-roll tubes, lighters, lighting, even compost. Expect higher prices and maybe more folks heading back to the underground market. Small businesses are hurting, but some see the buzz as a chance to buy American. Hey, at least your flower could soon come with a side of patriotism, right? Missing teen discovered after accidental spice trip. All right, Vipers. Ooh. Wild ride incoming. 17-year-old, I'm just going to say his last name, James, vanished for 6 weeks after mistakenly smoking synthetic spice.
That's a long time.
I know. It triggered a psychotic episode. He fled home with no phone, no cash, no clothes, and even got briefly arrested for fare dodging without anyone knowing he was missing. Thankfully, he was found safe on May 17th, reunited with his family, now getting support and treatment. Big breaths, everyone. This one ended well. GOP rep, personal medical MJ moment. Yo, fam, check this. GOP rep Ashley Hinson just got real personal. Her late aunt had multiple melanoma and used medical marijuana to eat and survive for 16 years. She supports a robust medical program, even if she's wary of her free-for-alls. So, she's pro-MJ when it helps grandma, but still wants sobriety checks before anybody rolls. Welcome to the cannabis politics, where personal stories reshape pub policy. Tulsa new pre-pack law. All right, fam, big shakeup in Tulsa. As of June 1st, Oklahoma's House Bill 3361 now requires all medical marijuana flower to be pre-packaged by growers. No more deli style. No more scoop your own jars. I'm so bummed. I've been to Oklahoma and I love deli style. Growers like Tulsa Jubel LLC are sealing and labeling before hitting dispensaries. Prices might tick up thanks to the extra labor, but regulators say it boosts safety and traceability. So next time you're shopping bud, expect shrink wrapped and maybe pricier flower. Adapt or get packed. Mrs. Weedman.
Wow. Serious.
Maine's crime and cannabis caper. Buckle up for this one. Maine's former Democratic lawmaker, Eddie Duguay, allegedly set up a shell companies linked to Chinese organized crime to grow illegal weed on rural land. Testing showed mold, arsenic, and other toxic chemicals in the stash. PressHerald.com launched this. Talk about a sketchy green operation. Politics, crime, and contaminated bud. Looks like this former rep might have traded policy power for pesticide problems. Who knew rural Maine was hiding a cannabis crime thriller? Suits, schemers, and scandals. Running with the cartel, with the fucking Chinese cartel. Fucking just, I mean, Maine and Oklahoma are the two biggest Chinese cartel illegal grows in the country. And
they're literally trying to just grow it outside.
Everywhere. They don't give a fuck.
They don't care.
They just grow. And then they leave. They do a bunch and then get the fuck out of here and find the next place to do it at. They don't stay long. Because they get caught.
Right.
Rolling papers.
Yeah.
We use a lot of rolling papers. But we use like
good quality
good quality rolled papers, right? But there's roller papers out there that can put some consumers at risk.
Yeah.
Tell us about it, Ms. Weedman.
Well, as the cannabis industry matures, so must our understanding of what it means to create safe, high-quality products. While we've made great strides in cultivation, practices, lab testing, and product transparency, one critical component of the cannabis pre-roll experience remains alarmingly unregulated: the rolling paper. A recent study conducted by Dr. Derek Wright and his team at Lake Superior State University revealed elevated levels of heavy metals in printed rolling papers and cones, specifically copper, chromium, and vanadium. These metals were traced to pigments and colored inks, particularly blue and green, and their presence raises serious questions about the safety of combusting and inhaling these types of printed rolling papers. After reviewing the findings and speaking with Dr. Wright, we at Custom Cones USA made a clear and immediate decision to no longer offer printed rolling papers. This was a value-based decision rooted in science and guided by a simple question. If we know something poses a potential risk to consumers, why would we keep selling it? The study used one of the most sensitive analytical methods available: inductively coupled plasma mass spectrometry, to test rolling papers at 26 different elements. In many cases, printed papers showed metal concentrations far exceeding the limits set by the United States Pharmacopoeia and International Council for Harmonization for Inhaled Pharmaceutical Products. That's a name. In fact, depending on usage levels, some papers could expose consumers to heavy metal doses up to 11 times the daily acceptable limit. Since cannabis is strictly regulated, most consumers, and many in the industry, assume that rolling papers are safe simply because they are sold alongside regulated cannabis. But in reality, rolling papers, wraps, and other smoking accessories are not regulated at all. In many states, pre-rolls are not tested in their final, ready-to-smoke form. Instead, only the flower is tested, leaving the paper and any additives or inks used on it completely unexamined. There's a dangerous assumption in the marketplace that if something is labeled as soy-based or food-safe, then it must be safe to inhale. But that's not how toxicology works. What's safe for our stomach is not necessarily safe for the lungs, as inhalation provides a direct pathway to the bloodstream, bypassing the filtering mechanisms of the kidney and liver. A contaminant that might pass harmlessly through your gut can have much more serious implications when it's combusted and inhaled into your lungs. Since day one, Custom Cones USA has tested all of their rolling papers for heavy metals, pesticides, and microbials, holding them to the same standard as cannabis flower. They always believe that anything designed to be smoked should be tested like it's going to be smoked. But across the industry, testing standards for papers and other smoking materials aren't as rigorous, and in many cases, they're simply not required. As more scientific data emerges, we believe it's time to take a closer look at how these components are regulated and raise the bar collectively. Brands and manufacturers have a duty to ensure their products are safe, especially in a wellness-driven industry like cannabis. While printed papers may offer branding opportunities and visual appeal, no aesthetic is worth compromising consumer safety. That's why, in addition to printed rolling papers, Custom Cones USA previously discontinued other trendy wraps like rose petals and palm leaves due to concerns around pesticide and chemical exposure. They believe transparency should be the industry standard. Be sure to check a brand to be sure that there's a QR code that links directly to full panel lab test results. Custom Cones USA is using their industry position to push for higher standards. If the data shows a credible risk, we believe the ethical response is to act. Waiting for regulations to catch up is not good enough. And consumers, ask questions, push for transparency, look beyond flashy branding, and be wary of marketing gimmicks. Know where your paper comes from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, use specific kind of toilet paper, right? You want specific kind of rolling papers, right? International news. Germany's weed wins European market. All right, fam, here's the spicy Euro hot take. Of all the European approaches, only Germany's medical cannabis model is actually denting the black market. They've got federal oversight, telemedicine, and prices as low as $3.99 a gram. That's euros. So legit patients aren't buying questionable street weed. Other nations, tolerance, home grow, pilot programs, but still shadow markets. Germany's model proves regulated access actually works. Some fun take on this. It's like Germany built an herb fortress while the rest are playing farmer in the yard. Europe, take notes. UK's medical cannabis reform. All right, UK fam. Time for a reality check. Despite cannabis being legal for medical use since 2018, only 150 doctors out of 40,000 are prescribing it. Why? Stigma and lack of education. But here's the kicker. The endocannabinoid system is barely covered in the UK medical schools. It's like teaching biology without mentioning DNA. If we want progress, we need to train clinicians early, make it accessible, and normalize cannabis as a legitimate treatment option. Let's move from stigma to standard care. Bahamas cannabis budget blues. Here's a plot twist from the Bahamas. We've talked about them on the show a couple episodes ago. Despite cannabis reform laws nearly a year ago, the government has allocated zero funding for cannabis regulation in its 2025 and 2026 budget. Ronaldo Cartwright of Marijuana Bahamas says this lack of financial commitment shows a deep issue. Officials are stalling on their own legislation. Meanwhile, the legal gray area continues to put those in reform was meant to protect at risk. Guess the only thing green in the Bahamas right now is the unspent budget. Ukraine's historic cannabis import permit. Big news from Ukraine. On June 2nd, the state medical service issued the country's first ever permit to import medical marijuana products. This follows the legalization of medical cannabis in 2024, aiming to provide relief for conditions like PTSD and cancer. While recreational use remains illegal, this step marks a significant shift in Ukraine's healthcare approach. So it looks like Ukraine's moving from no weed to we need weed. Progress, not potluck. Cannabis 2025. Farewell, Barcelona. Hold on to your rolling papers, folks. Cannabis 2025 marked a final chapter in Barcelona. Since 2004, this event blended trade show with music festivals, becoming Europe's largest cannabis gatherings. Brands like Blimburn Seeds and Royal Queen Seeds reflected on the journey, while attendees embraced the end of an era and this vibe it brought. Next year, though, Mrs Weedman, Bilboa's turn to host. Bilbao''s. Bilbo's.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Bilbo.
It's in Spain. So pack your bags and your bongs. It's time to roll into a new city. Canada's cannabis GDP surges. Canada's cannabis industry just added a whopping $9.1 billion to the national GDP in Q1 2025, up from $8.3 billion last year. Licensed production jumped 10.6% year over year, while unlicensed operators saw declines. Households spent $11.7 billion on recreational cannabis, reflecting a steady growth trend. So Canada's green rush isn't just about chilly vibes. It's fueling the economy. Talk about a high impact industry. That's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. It is.
You're changing your whole country's GDP. One beautiful plant, you know. Philippines medical cannabis appeal. Here's a twist from the Philippines. Outgoing Carmine Sur Rep Luis Raymond Villafrete is making an 11th hour plea to the Senate to pass the medical cannabis bill. He urges that CBD oil can alleviate suffering from conditions like cancer and PTSD, offering a non-addictive, affordable alternative to traditional painkillers. With Senate President Francis Euskardo's commitment to prioritize urgent bills, Villafrete hopes the Senate will act swiftly to provide relief to Filipinos in need. Nambia's cannabis reform push. Here's a bold move from Nambia. 4 cannabis advocacy groups, Chan, Gun, MMAN, and Ruff, have teamed up to demand urgent reform of the country's outdated cannabis laws. They're challenging this legislation that criminalizes cannabis use, arguing it violates constitutional rights and international legal standards. Their call for change includes legalizing medical cannabis, allowing industrial hemp cultivation, and respecting religious freedoms. It's a powerful push for just and equity in Nambia's cannabis policy. That's international news, everybody. Rolling joints is not a spectator sport anymore, Ms. Weedman.
It is not.
Are you going to try this out? Are you going to become the next speed roller champion?
No, but I think I'm going to watch that hashtag and take some lessons.
Yes.
Because I would like to be a better joint
Then you
roller.
can teach me.
Yeah. Well, it's just you against the clock. Your nimble fingers gently nesting flour into a sausage-shaped paper. You coat the outside of the paper with a lick, and with your fingertip, you smooth the paper down and twist the top to a slender point. Done. What am I talking about? The Rolling Derby. It's an in-person and virtual tournament to find the fastest joint roller in the world. It celebrates the competitive art of joint rolling. Stoners and rollers around the world are invited to participate. Fittingly, Raw Rolling Papers is sponsoring the competitions. The tournament is scheduled to last 4 months. It began on May 28th. There will be a championship final featuring the 16 fastest rollers, where the first ever rolling champion will be crowned. And probably stoned too, but the good kind of stoned, not the biblical kind. Stoners have many skills, from large lung capacity for zeroing hits to masterfully removing caked-on resin from glass bongs. But rolling a joint might be the most ancient and coveted stoner skill of all. Bud.com is hosting the competition, and its CEO, Dean Arbit, preached to the choir. The Rolling Derby turns what happens every day in millions of homes into a spectator sport that celebrates real craftsmanship, he explained. We're talking something that's part of cannabis culture's DNA and elevating it to showcase the incredible dexterity and expertise that goes into the perfect roll. This isn't just about speed. It's really about bringing deserved recognition to a foundational skill. Dean seems like a chill dude, and oh boy, is he right. As Vice's resident stoner, even my joint rolling skills are imperfect. My partner, on the other hand, is a grandmaster, and you can bet your ass I'm forcing him to submit an entry. Ready to show your stuff? We're still in the first heat of the tournament, and you have until June 30th to submit your entry. All you need to start is 1 gram of cannabis flower, still in nug form, a king-sized rolling paper, and a camera. You can use a tip, filter, or crutch as well. Breaking down or grinding the flower is part of the competition. I highly recommend using a grinder to shorten your time. The clock starts the moment you pull out your rolling paper. Then you have to grind up your bud, roll the joint, hold it up, and declare you're done. A few rules, though. Videos must be portrait style. Your hands must be in frame during the entire video. You must show that your grinder is empty or that you used the entire 1 gram. Excess cannabis left over may result in time penalties. Upload your video to X or YouTube with the hashtag #RollingDerby to enter. If you consider yourself a rolling pro, this is your moment to shine. Rollers throughout the competition will receive prizes and glory for speed, style, and humor. If you're not the fastest, but you're the funniest, you could still get some merch out of this. And if you're the speed demon, you could become the reigning champion and win the undisclosed grand prize. So grab your raws, your nugs, and your grinder and start filming. I'll be following the roller derby closer than most people follow March Madness. Amazing news for my sad friends in non-legal marijuana states. You can still participate. You just need to get cannabis flower that is federally legal. Friendly reminder that THCA is not federally regulated, so you can order it to almost every state, and once heated, the THCA turns into psychoactive Delta-9 THC. Elevate's Blueberry Muffin THC flower is a smooth and tasty option for this competition, and the nugs boast a Fruit Loops-like color scheme that will make your video stand out. Chief Botanicals makes a Sex Panther THCA flower.
Sex Panther.
A stronger sativa that can energize you before the big roll if you need a pick-me-up. And Diamond's CBD Potent Hammerhead THC flower is a marvelous choice with fluffy buds that you can tear apart in no time. So good luck and get rolling. That sounds like fun. I want to follow it.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
My favorite time of the year is here. 4th of July is coming.
Yes.
I always have a big July 3rd party. I don't have my party on the 4th of July. I have my party the day before. Because then I get everybody all fucking hungover and they don't want to go anywhere on the 4th. No, this is my, I love the summertime. This is when barbecues happen. And so I do like corn on the cob. Do you like corn on the cob?
I love corn on the cob.
And there was one time we were at a barbecue and they had like a fucking canister of just melted butter on the grill, and you would just go dump your corn in there, salt it up real good, and go to the table and just mange all of your, who the fuck cares, all over your face, because you're just going to jump in the pool anyway, so it's going to clean off. And so I love corn on the cob. When you grill it, though, it brings a different atmosphere too versus putting it in the water and boiling it. I like water boiled, but on the grill it's good too. So, but there's an elevated twist this year for your barbecue and for your all the barbecues you do on the weekends, or if you do a big one during the holidays in the summer. Listen up, grill masters. Elevate your barbecue with canna corn on the cob. That's as potent as it is delicious. Slather sweet corn with canna butter. Sprinkle it with a little chili powder. Squeeze some lime juice on there and some fresh cilantro. Grill it to perfection, and you got a snack that's both tasty and uplifting.
Sounds delicious.
Just remember, start low and go slow. This isn't your average corn on the cob. Perfect for summer cookouts or chill evening in.
Sounds good.
I know. We might have to try that.
Let's make it.
Yeah, we got plenty of butter, that's for sure. We can't do it for our party this year because there's youngins. We have to do it with just a small little get-together crew. Shoddy, you'll be one of our test dummies. Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
That was some good weed.
That was good weed. Definitely elevated.
That's the end of the show. You got anything else to say before we go?
Want to smoke some more?
We will.
Let's smoke some
But
more.
I ain't smoking that. We're going to bed. Taking an Eddie and fucking smoking some lava cake. Everybody out there in the world, we love you. Thank you so much, man, for listening. We appreciate y'all out there. We love you. As Paulie always says, smoke smart, puff, puff, and away.
Puff, puff, pass.
Check out our cannabis lifestyle brand online at 8decades.com. Our custom smokes and accessories are perfect for your coffee table, bedroom nightstand, or kitchen counter. They're designed for you to show them off. The Canna community is also loving our hemp and cotton blend t-shirts, sweatshirts, scarves, and hats, finished off with our 8 Decades logo. We've got some awesome long-lasting goods that will be your favorite for years to come. 8 Decades, because a 9th decade of cannabis prohibition isn't acceptable.